Great. Got it. All right, good. Well, thanks for coming on tonight, you guys. I had a whole bunch of emails today as I was traveling of people saying, oh, sorry, I can't make it, or yes, I can make it. So I hope I kind of know who's all on. Brenda Trinello, thank you so much for hosting and getting us all on here tonight.
You're welcome.
Brenda, if you don't know, she's the new recording secretary for the National Executive Board. And so that is part of her job, but she was very willing to do that for us, and I appreciate it. Like I told some of you, I'm in a hotel room in northern Minnesota, and it's freezing cold, and it poured rain really, really bad all the way up from the Twin Cities. So, but I'm here, and I have internet. I wouldn't make a reservation at a hotel until they promised me the internet was good. So I think it's good. First, I want to introduce a few people that are on the mentor committee. We've got Madam President Stacy.
Well,
and
I actually will be in the back side of it.
she will, right. She's not officially on the committee, but she's just trying to, you know, she's got a lot of good ideas, and so she's on the back side of it. Rebecca, first vice president, she is kind of like our go-to girl. And past president Ann Parker. And then we have myself, Denise Guerra, and Carla Keller and Ann Birkins are also on the committee, and they both had conflicts tonight, so they are not on, but they are doing an awesome job also on this newly formed committee and making my life a lot easier. I'm just going to go through and read off who I've checked off on my list. And if I've missed anybody, please let me know. I've got Karen, whew, that's a tongue tie. Joyce, Jen, Ann P, Penny, Teresa, Jeannie, Sonia, and Brenda. Did I miss anybody? And Stacy. And Rebecca.
Which Brenda?
Oh, Brenda Bingham.
Yes, I'm here.
Yep.
Denise, I just want to remind everybody to mute yourself if you're not speaking. If you want to say something or you have a question, use the function on the bottom of reaction and raise your hand, and I will let Denise know that you have a question.
Thank you, Brenda. All right, so I think I got everybody, and Brenda, please let me know if anybody else hops on here.
Of course.
We have been busy the last month or so since the convention, and the newly elected officers. We had 22 chapters that we had to reassign because the NEB is no longer going to be doing any mentoring. So I've reassigned all of those chapters. And so I want to say thank you to all of you who were willing to take on some more chapters. And also welcome to the new mentors, Sherilyn. Kathleen Fowle is going to be mentoring, and Amy Ocampo, and neither of them could be on the meeting tonight. Kathleen may be coming on, but she's not on yet. So thank you guys for stepping up and helping us out here. We appreciate it. And then a couple of you other ones took on some more chapters, which we really appreciate. And if anybody else feels like they have time and they don't know what to do with themselves, you just let us know, and I'm sure we've got more chapters for you. All right. At the National Convention, some of you were there and some of you were not, but just to let you know, we did have a mentor meeting, but it was kind of a quick small meeting because things had been gotten backed up that day, and Big Dipper was still having their meeting and elections. So it was a pretty casual meeting where we just kind of did a social hour kind of thing. The major thing we decided was when we do have these meetings, we are going to be alternating the day that they're on. Some of you can never make a Monday, so the next meeting is going to be a Tuesday. The next one will be a Wednesday. So hopefully we'll be able to catch everybody at some point in one of our meetings. Oh, it's dry. But otherwise, we really didn't do too much besides just meet each other at the convention. And I know a lot of us were able to meet some of our chapters, and that was really nice to be able to connect with them. As far as our August reports go, you guys have done an awesome job. I've gotten tons of them in and passed them on to Carla to record. I counted up last night, there were only 9 of the 33 of us that did not turn in reports. A couple of them sent me messages and said, you know, I've got things going on, be patient, I'll get them when I can, and I appreciate that. But if any of you still have reports outstanding, just please give us, you know, get them to us as soon as you can. I try when they come in to maybe respond to you, but if you're worried that I haven't responded or that maybe I didn't get them, just send me another email or a text and I can check on it. But otherwise, keep up doing those reports. We're doing them. We're checking in with our chapters for sure, the even months of the year, and doing the reports by the end of that month, if at all possible. We're going to have Ann Birkin start giving some of you a call if we see that you're not getting your reports in, just to make sure that everything is good and you're you know, working on your chapters. We wanted to, one thing we talked about at the National Convention mentor meeting was not to be afraid to ask questions. If you guys have questions, if your chapters have questions and you don't know the answers direct out, or you can't find it in the governing documents, please ask for assistance. You know, there's, depending on what the question is, you can go directly to one of the national officers, depending on whoever it pertains to. Otherwise, you can send me a message and I can figure out who to get that answer for you. But no question is a dumb question. Please don't be afraid to ask. I try to get back to my emails. I check them every day, and I may not respond to everybody right away, but the ones where there's questions, I will as soon as I can that day. Now that I'm retired, it's a lot easier to do that unless I'm traveling. And as Brenda said in the beginning of this meeting, we are recording this meeting. And for those that are not able to be on the meeting tonight, we're going to ask everybody to go on and view this meeting. And then for now, we will ask you to send an email to me to let me know that you viewed it. I'm speaking to the choir right now, but I will send out the link or how the instructions on how to find the meeting and to those that were not here tonight, and make it clear to them that they'll need to view it and get back to me. We were hoping that there was a way on the website to have the webmaster be able to tell us who's viewed it or who hasn't. And Brenda says that's not possible. So we'll, at this point, it'll just be kind of an honor system. If you miss the meeting, we'll ask you within 2 weeks to go in and view the meeting, and then let me know that so we can make sure everybody's getting all the same information. Is there any questions about that? We're good there. Good. We do have a new concept or program that we're starting that we came up with at our last committee meeting. I don't know how many of you know this, but as new chapters, as areas or people show interest in starting new chapters, Ann Parker has been working with them to train them, and she's been mentoring them, and we're going to try to take some of those off of Ann's plate and give to some of the other mentors. Again, a need for more mentors. But what we're doing now is getting the mentors involved sooner. And Ann, do you want to talk about that?
I'm sorry, I'm on my phone, my iPad. I had 2 back-to-back Zooms and my iPad decided not to charge. So, you know, it's one of those days. I've had a conversation this afternoon with Sonia and with Beth, and this is what I'll give you just a synopsis of what we're going to do. We started late last year deciding that the 4th VP has a lot to do, and we might have better, she suggested we might have better results if we had more follow-up with these chapters as they request information. I volunteered and said, if the NEB wants me to, I will be like a go-to person. I don't do any of the first or fourth VP's work, but I'll just be like the go-to person. And so that's what I've been. And the success story is we chartered 11 new chapters last year. That's the good news. The bad news is I can't keep mentoring 11 new chapters every year, or I'll spend all my time mentoring, and that's not a good thing either. So what we're going to do, what we do now is that I work with the chapter as they get their paperwork in, along with the fourth VP. And as you all know, probably when you all chartered, you have lots of questions. But once they get their name approved by the national president of the board, and once they begin the journey of getting a number from the IRS and their post office box first, then I begin a series of 3 Zoom calls with the chapter. We talk about financial policies one night. We talk about leadership handbook and code of conduct another night. And the third night, we talk about constitution and bylaws. They usually don't last more than an hour. I allow for questions unless somebody really has a lot of questions. And then I ask them if I can call them, or they can call me afterwards, and we can, have a one-on-one conversation. We do require that all chapter officers attend. So we try to make it on a night and a time where everybody can attend. If somebody can't because of an emergency or an illness, I will do a makeup, but the requirement is that all 5 officers have attended 3 sessions. And then if all their numbers back from the IRS, we'll do a Zoom meeting and we'll charter them. At that point, then under the new plan, they would be handed off to another mentor. But during the 3 Zoom calls, the new mentor will be working with me on those calls, attending them as much as possible. We talked this afternoon that there might be an occasional time where the new mentor couldn't attend all 3, but they'll endeavor their best to attend all 3 so the chapter members get to know them. And then once they're chartered, I'll hand them off and I'll begin working with a new group. I think we'll all find this works well. So I'll entertain any questions if anybody has any.
Miss Ann, I don't have a question, but I want to let Denise know that somebody came in and is using their phone and it doesn't identify who they are. Who just came in?
Melissa Clipper.
Okie dokie. You need to put yourself in mute unless you're going to say something, please. Thank you. And Sherilyn has a question for you.
I do. And what did you say was the second night? First night was the financial documents. What's the second session that you do with them? You're muted.
Well, I touched it and it didn't behave to my carpal tunnel hands. Sorry about that. Leadership handbook and code of conduct. And I send them the documents beforehand. Also, I didn't mention that. Okay.
Thanks.
You can lower your hand, Sherilyn.
I am. Yeah.
Thank you.
Trying one thing at a time. There you go.
As Anne had mentioned, she had talked to Sonia and Beth Bruning today. They have stepped up and offered to take a chapter each, one of the new chapters. And I had sent emails to other people asking them too. So if anybody is interested in possibly doing that, we will have more opportunities soon. And what I told them is this would be a great time to really learn the governing documents and learn how everything goes on. I personally was not part of a chartering or when our chapter chartered. So, I don't really know everything that happens during that new charter process or new chapter process. So anybody else, it's a great opportunity for any of us to learn how it goes and learn from the best of us, because Anne's got it nailed. She's been doing this now for quite a while, and we've got some really good successful chapters going on. So if this is something you're interested in, just let me know, and we'll put all of your names down on a list, and as things, as we need mentors, we'll look at that list and try to assign those chapters to those that are interested, and as we need them. So are there any other questions about that program? Good, good. So thank you, Sonia and Beth, who is not on right now, that you've been willing to take this on. Next on the agenda, I have Rebecca. She's going to talk to us about some ideas of building relationships with your chapters as mentors. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Thanks, ladies. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much to all of you. Wait a minute, Karen has her hand raised. Did you have a question, Karen, for Ann? You're muted, hon.
Mute. I don't know if this is the time to ask, but since you're talking about new chapters, normally a new chapter gets a pass on doing compliance the first year. So I have a technical question no, that's not happening anymore.
Because the IRS doesn't allow us to have a pass, Karen. If they don't file the tax return, and what we found is that when they do the compliance, in other words, with Stacy's blessings, I'm going to take all 11 chapters and we're going to have a Zoom meetings and we're going to do compliance together the first year. So they
Okay.
know how to do it when they don't have much to report, but we do require everybody chartered to do all of it now.
Okay, so then my question actually was, I had a new chapter last year that didn't charter till August. Then they disbanded this year and now they have reaffiliated. So am I helping them? Are you helping them? Are they considered new? Are they considered old? It's kind of like one of those tricky questions. I'm really unsure what my status is with the whole process, and I just need clarification.
What chapter is it, Karen?
Washington 7.
Okay. Denise, I'll let you handle about the mentoring. I'd be happy to help them with compliance if you or have Karen do it together with us, or whatever your pleasure is. I'm willing to help.
What I understand, Paula said they didn't lose their EIN status, so they really never did disband. So she is working with them to get them up and running again. So if it's okay with Karen, I would, think that she could continue to mentor them with any issues or questions that they have. But in a little bit, we're going to talk about the roles that the mentors have with compliance, and then we might cover some of that also.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Okay, Rebecca.
Stacy
Okay.
has her hand up.
Oh, Stace.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we're not having our mentors do compliance. So that
Right.
shouldn't be a question. They need to come to the 4th VP or the national officers, and that's why we freed them up from mentoring.
Right. And as long as she's talking about that, that was added to the job description this year. The mentor's role in compliance basically will be remind your chapters of the deadlines. And that was something that I was going to say for October, really stress that they get their compliance done now, not December 15th or January 15th or February 15th. But we as mentors are not going to be dealing with the issues and questions. If they say, I'm having problems with my profit and loss, to send them to the financial officers. But that's it. You don't need to give them any advice or help them out with that at all. Just basically reminding them of the deadlines. And then the first go-to person would be the 4th Vice President, Paula Lombardo, because she is the compliance person. But all the NEB officers have roles in compliance that they can help with their portion of it. Okay. Was there any questions about that? Okay, good. Rebecca, it's on to you.
Okay, great. Okay, so again, ladies, just thanks again for your patience. As I said, I don't know that everyone was on when I said this earlier. Officer rosters, new officer rosters are coming in. A lot of our chapters had elections in August and into September. We still have some chapters that are still doing elections, so we don't have all of the new rosters. But as those have come in, as of yesterday, I had all officer rosters that I have received have been updated, and I sent all those on to Denise. I know mentors are going to want their officer rosters so that they'll know who to reach out to. So I'll appreciate your patience, but I will get those to you just as quickly as I possibly can. And I know, thank you to those people who are stepping in and taking my chapters. I truly appreciate you doing that. One of the things when we met earlier, when the committee met earlier this month, one of the things that we were talking about was, building that relationship between the mentor and the chapters. And so I had mentioned to Denise that before I was elected as first VP, one of the things that I was thinking about doing with my chapters was Zooming. We've all been Zooming over the last year. And so I thought it would be good not only to do a one-on-one Zoom with each individual chapter, but then pull my chapters together as a whole. I only had 5 chapters, unlike Anne, who's got 300. I only have 5. And so I thought, this would be a really good way. I wanted to have that one-on-one with them first to see if there are any particular issues within their chapter that I needed to help them with. But then I wanted to bring them all together, all 5 of my chapters together, and talk about just chapter stuff in general. What fundraising works for them, what doesn't work for them, how are they retaining membership, what are the issues, and then that way we could all kind of learn from each other. So I would recommend that you guys try doing that. One of the things, I know Sonia is on here now, and so one of the things that Sonia did, Missouri and Illinois met a year ago in the fall, and it was just a couple of chapters, I think maybe 1 chapter from Missouri and then a couple from Illinois, and they had a weekend retreat. And I know not everybody can do that. And these chapters are not mentoring. We're not all like in the same mentor group. We're just neighbors. And but they had a weekend retreat, and it was really educational and it was great. And so they decided to do a spring retreat, and they opened it up to a few more of us. And I attended the one in the spring, and we drove to Illinois and hung out at Sonia's lake cabin. I mean, it was absolutely horrible. I mean, it was huge. There were like a gazillion bedrooms, and but worst place that you ever stayed in. But we're going to do it again this fall. But it was really great for us because the chapters got together, and again, we did some educational training in there just amongst ourselves, and we fed off of each other. So I would recommend that you guys do that too. If you have chapters that you mentor that live close together, that would be a good thing. And even if they can't get together for the entire weekend, maybe they could get together for a day, do a day trip, and kind of feed off of each other and to help grow. Was there anything else, Denise, that I had mentioned?
I think that was it.
I know I had said on a personal note because, and I'm just cover this real quick on a personal note with these mentors. I know a lot of the chapters, and especially the chapters that have been up and going for a while, are not real keen on this. They feel like I've been a chapter for 10 years. I don't need a mentor. I will tell you, one of the chapters that I had been together for 10 years. They've been in this longer than I have, but they were very appreciative of it. So don't be intimidated by your chapters if you have some that have been around for a while, because they still have questions. Our compliance have changed over the years, and so they need that guidance. But I did tell Denise, when I first joined Blue Star Mothers, we did not have this mentoring program. I joined in 2014. I was a charter member of Gateway Blue Star Mothers in St. Louis, Missouri 4. We knew nothing and we got very little guidance. And so we were doing a lot of winging it, and some things we didn't wing very well. And that just feeds on other chapters. When I broke off and created my own chapter, I took what we were doing there and continued to do it. Not that we were doing anything really wrong, but we weren't necessarily doing it the easiest way, the best way. And so I really feel like our mentoring program is great for all of our chapters. And again, I wish that we would have had this when I started. I'm glad that we have it now. And I welcome whoever my mentor is. I welcome them to continue mentoring us.
Thank you. I had a question. Would we invite the whole chapter, like, say if I have 7 chapters, I would invite all of the members of all 7 chapters? Or
For the
would I-
For
or
the
just-
individual, yeah, for the individual Zoom, I would invite the entire chapter, because I think, again, there was the misconception of the mentor was only for the chapter president, or it was only for the executive board. I don't think that the chapters, they were not passing that information down to the chapter members to let them know that it's for that entire chapter. So I would do the first one with each individual chapter. And I would include the entire chapter. Then when you pull all of your chapters together, I would only, maybe if you just want to include your presidents, I would still try to include the entire executive board of all of the chapters that you meet when you do that group one.
Mhm. Okay, thank you. And
I'm sorry, Karen had her hand up too, but she put it down. Don't know if you still need to answer a question.
was that Karen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Karen, you're muted.
Muting. There we go. Sorry. I just wanted to say there's a side benefit. I have Zoomed with a couple of my chapters, and I just had a Zoom meeting in August with Texas 4. And the first thing they told me is that one of the moms was the mother of one of the 13 Marines that were killed in Afghanistan. And so, you know, they shared what kind of trauma the chapter was going through and things like that. And then, you know, asked me questions about the Blue to Gold. They do have a representative and everything like that, but I guess there's a backlog on banners and things. I don't know. I didn't get the whole story, but I referred them to our Blue to Gold person. But you can find out some really valuable things from your chapters that actually could be national importance kind of questions. And so it's a very interesting process. The whole entire chapter comes on the 2 that I had. So I had like 16 squares in one and, you know, 12 squares in another, but they also kind of like want to view who you are, which is, you know, kind of get to know them kind of a thing, which is really an interesting experience because their moms, their people, you know, they just kind of want to talk to you about personal issues that they have as well. My other chapter had a member whose husband just passed away. I mean, it seemed like I was getting a lot of the real traumatic kinds of stories, but I guess they just want to share. And that's the important thing, that you can at least be a good listener, you know, and then if they have a specific question, it's easy with 16 faces, somebody's going to have a question, you know, so I'm just saying it's a great idea.
Yeah, Karen, and you're exactly right too. I think putting a face with a name and being able to see you and everything, I think it also kind of gives them a sense of I don't know, peace or calm or whatever, that we're just like everybody else. Just because we're
Right.
assigned as being as a mentor, you know, we all have mentors as well. I was also going to say too, I know membership kind of plays into this mentoring pieces as well. I had already told Stacy, I'm actually going to be doing a Zoom regarding for first VPs or anybody who wants to come on. It's going to be regarding membership, and it's going to be October 10th. And that information will go out in our next newsletter. And I plan on doing these Zooms periodically throughout the year, just to kind of talk about membership, how to retain members, you know, how to file your membership, you know, so hopefully some of those, if the mentors get any questions about that, those Zooms will help you guys as well as trying to train them on how to do membership.
Denise,
So would we would be,
I'm sorry, Jackie Ransom came in on the call.
oh, okay. Hi,
Jackie,
Jackie.
I'm gonna mute you, and if you want to speak, you need to raise your hand or unmute.
Thanks.
Rebecca, all the mentors would be welcome to come to listen to your membership Zoom? Is that?
The very first Zoom, I think, is going to be open to anybody who wants to be there. It will be in the newsletter, and it will be open to anybody who wants to be there. I encourage the presidents and the membership people to be on the call or on the Zoom. But you know, I think it's information that even any member could use as well, because we're going to talk a little bit about paying your dues through your chapter versus going online and paying it versus mailing it in. So I think it's information that anybody can use. So yeah, happy to have you.
Good.
Please,
Jason?
on those calls, we're gonna have all the officers across the board do Zooms that will be placed on our website, so that if people aren't able to make that meeting, they can go back and watch it on the Facebook, on the website. So we have that history to go back. But yeah, we definitely need to do some training across the board.
Awesome. And that would be a great thing for all the mentors to bring up when they're touching base at the beginning of October with your chapters, that these Zoom meetings are going to be offered, and encourage them to come on. I've had a couple officers say, you know, I got elected and I have no idea what this office is. And I think that if people are thinking they might be interested in an office, if these Zooms are on the website, they can go and listen to that president Zoom or the financial secretary Zoom, whatever it would be. So they can kind of get an idea of what that office is all about before they would accept a nomination. So I think it's awesome that we're going to be doing these. And so encourage your chapters to attend, or at least send a representative to attend those meetings. Any other questions about that? No? Okay. I've got you guys on two different screens, so I have to kind of scroll back and forth to see here. We had talked about compliance and the mentor's role again. Jackie just came on, but the mentor's role in compliance will basically be remind your chapters of the deadlines and to encourage them to get started right now. If they have questions, refer them to the national officer that would be appropriate to be able to answer that question. Another piece that I've come up with a few times is, as I'm reading your mentor reports, I've had a couple say, you know, it looks like this chapter's struggling and they're thinking they may need to disband. And Stacy, maybe you can answer this. Where do we go with that? Do we straight off direct them to the 4th VP to find out about disbanding, or who can try to help them out of their hole?
I think right now, Denise, if we have a lot of chapters that are feeling they're overwhelmed or they're ready to disband, but then, oh no, we're going to stay on. I think we need to forward them to, you can forward them to me and I can give them to a national officer to make a phone call and reach out to Rebecca. You want to do that, or you have your hand up for a question?
No, I was just going to tell Denise, one of my chapters, when they told me that they were struggling and that they wanted to disband, the first thing that I asked them is, what are you struggling with? So, and their struggle is getting more members and retaining members. And so I think as mentors, when they say, you know, we're just really struggling and I think we need to disband, I think as mentors, we need to find out what is it that they're struggling with. And then if it's, if you can't help them, at least find out what the problem is. And then if you can't help them, then send them, you know, to us, and then let us see if we can help them, because we don't want these chapters to be disbanding. This chapter, the chapter that's one that I was mentoring, they chartered in 2019. And then of course, then we got hit with, you know, COVID. And so, you know, and they were so discouraged that here we are in 2021. And so even though they've been a chapter for 2 years, they really haven't had a chance to get off the ground. And since I've talked to them about ways of how they can build their membership, they've decided to stick it out a little bit longer. So I think as mentors, it's our responsibility to try to help keep them going and see how we can do that and not just say, oh, sorry to hear that, and then let them close.
Mhm. Good point. Good point.
And
Um,
I wasn't.
yeah,
done
go ahead,
before.
Stace.
It is a great point, other than you have chapters who refuse to call their mentor. You have chapters who refuse to return the call to national. Those are problem chapters that we really need to help figure out how to help them. But if they're refusing to work with a mentor, the other scenario won't quite work.
And I think that's a frustration for many of us, that we have chapters that won't respond to us. And I know this last time I was like jumping for joy that I was able to make contact with every single one of my chapters. And I've just learned which ones I have to call, which ones I email, which ones I text. And, you know, once you kind of know, and maybe it's not the president, maybe it's the financial, one of the financial officers that's good at that communication and replying back. So I always email all the officers in the chapter. And if the president wasn't replying back to a text or a call for me, I'd move down the line. I'd go to the first vice president and so forth. You know, right now it's hard because they're changing officers. And if they haven't gotten their officer roster in, then we don't know who the new officers are. So you might have to dig a little bit in that chapter, go down the line on the officers to find out who will answer their phone and, you know, make some contact with you. Once you get that contact, they'll usually continue after that to reply to me. So that's my suggestion, or my success story with it. You know, don't give up after one email. And with your mentor reports, I've read a lot of them that you're sending the mentor report saying, I emailed them such and such date, no reply. Well, maybe we want you to go back and try a couple more attempts before you even send that mentor report in. Be a little bit persistent. We have to train them that they need to respond to us, and then train them also that they need to respond to the national officer also. So, you know, it's just some points.
Denise, Sonia has her hand up.
Okay,
Carol
Sonia.
Sanchez did too.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that with one of my chapters last time, I had to send a reminder email and ask them to please get back to me. And I said to them, I need you to get back to me because I need to do my report. And they immediately came back to me and said, oh, I didn't know you had to do a report. And they gave me all the information I needed. So it might be something as simple as just letting them know that you have to answer to somebody too. It's not just them answering to you, it's you answering to someone above you. And two of them had struggled. And when I told them I needed to make a report, they both came back to me right away.
Mhm. Good idea. And Carol?
Denise, you answered my question because the president of one of the chapters does not answer my emails, and I tried calling her, but her message box is full. So that was my question. Can I go to the vice president and go on down? So I'll try that.
Certainly. Sure.
This
Sure.
next time. Okay.
Okay. I saw another.
Shirley
Sherilyn?
has a hand up.
Yeah, I'm just gonna speak to the, so not, I guess, just to along those lines, not having been part of the mentor program on this side of it, when we heard we're being assigned a mentor, we were like, okay, so if we have questions, we have somebody to ask. We didn't really fully grasp that, you know, that it was accessible to everyone. So Brenda was actually our mentor, and you know, I usually answer the chapter's emails and forward them to who they need to go to. So I would send it to the chapter president, and there we go. And she was like, well, you know, we don't have any questions. You've been on the NEB, you helped found our chapter, you know what you're doing. And I'm like, if you have any questions, we can ask Brenda. So it does help I think, really clarify. And I think that was clarified for me at convention. And so then I was able to come back to my chapter and say, hey, this is really designed for all of you. And before, so I brought it up verbally at the chapter as I gave my convention report. That's one of the pieces I gave, and then said, so if, I'll be sending this phone number out and this contact information. And if you have any questions, anybody can ask, and so I think as time has gone on, it's more clear to me on the chapter level. So that I think that's been helpful.
Mhm. Good. And I have written a couple newsletter stories in the past saying, if you don't know who your mentor is, send me an email and I'll get you, that information. And I have had a couple members email me and ask me because they said their officers didn't pass that information on. So I think it's really our challenge to try to get to all of the members. And it's not necessarily that we're always going to just be there for questions. We can kind of be cheerleaders too. I have a chapter that was, they had their one big fundraiser of the year last Saturday. So on Friday, I sent an email to all the officers and said, I'm thinking about you. I wish I could be there. Good luck. I hope the weather holds out for you guys. And, and one of them sent back and said, that really means a lot that you remembered that we were going to do this. So, be there, be a cheerleader to them too. If they've got something going on, be it, someone having a health issue or a fundraiser or a big event, or, something's going on with their chapter, check in with them. Just, let them know you're thinking about them. And that helps to build that relationship also.
Denise, Rebecca has her hand up, Stacy has her hand up, and then Karen has her hand up.
Okay, go ahead, Rebecca.
Okay, so I was just going to piggyback off of what Sherilyn said. I think she made a really good point as far as sometimes we didn't really fully understand what the mentor was supposed to be doing. And now would be a really good time, since we're getting new officer rosters and making some changes. I was just going to ask about you putting something in the newsletter. I don't know if you've got something to go into the newsletter this time around. But if we could put something in there and explain, explain to it and tell people that if they've got questions about mentoring, and just to let you know.
Okay, yep, I'll do that again. Thank you. Karen, who was next?
Yeah.
Go
I
ahead.
had my hand, I had the wrong hand wave and it kept going off, sorry. This is actually a sort of a by question to have Ann weigh in as well. A year ago, I picked up Ann's old chapter in South Carolina, and they informed me during the course of the year that they could absolutely not find anybody who wanted to be president. And I wanted Ann to just weigh in maybe. I mean, I tried everything I could think of to say, hang in there and whatever. Ann, do you know if there are any other underlying issues? Just to put in perspective, this seems to be a common problem. People don't want to step up to a job they think is really overwhelming.
I was chapter president for 7 years. I talked Connie into staying for 4 years. Connie's family has multiple family issues, sick parents, one died, just lots of stuff going on. And she told the chapter, I can't do it any longer. And none of them would step up. And if I had stepped aside years ago, the chapter would have probably have been in the same position. So I think you did everything you could. It's just, it's just unfortunate. People, and this is just my own personal opinion. Lots of people want to be joiners, not leaders. Our job is to mentor them so that they want to step up. But here again, it's like supervision in the workplace. Not everybody wants to be a supervisor. They want to be a team player. So no, I think you did everything you could.
Yeah, I just wanted to share that frustration because I hear more and more that people just don't want the responsibility. And I didn't know if it just happened to be the chapters that I had, or it seems to be widespread.
I've heard
Thank
it
you.
before. Stacy?
Yeah, I think on twofold on that, Karen. I think also if they're not educated enough to know these jobs aren't that hard or that we're here to help them, it's very intimidating to say, okay, I'll be chapter president if they don't know what all it is in detail, or if everybody else in the chapter is like, well, you're going to be doing everything on your own. So I think that's where we as mentors can help hopefully make our chapters feel like we're here to help them learn. What I wanted to piggyback on Rebecca's question with membership. Our membership is like nothing. So our membership, I found out today only because someone asked me, we have 2,936 active members. We have 1,309 associates, and that is it. So I need to figure out how to come up with ideas of building our membership and us working with our chapters to let them know that we're here for them. I don't know how many times I picked up the phone and called them and had a conversation to where they felt, oh, okay. So, you know, like my chapter got a wonderful letter from our mentor expressing who she is, introduced who she was, what her family's about, how she just moved from California to Texas, and checks in with our chapter every quarter with a wonderful letter on what she's doing. We need help with compliance. Do we need help with, you know, this? I said, yeah, can you grab some members and send them our way? We could use members. But I mean, just that personal touch that Rebecca was talking about is so, and I know most of us spend a lot of time with our chapters to try to get that brought on, that we are here for them. I tell people every day that I talk to them, this takes all of us. We cannot do our mission without each other. And if we need to bend over backwards, however we need to help them get compliance done, or, you know, when it gets down to the wire, the NEB will divvy up who hasn't done their officer rosters or divvy up who hasn't done their financial reports, and then we contact them to get it to go. So I know last year when we put that on the mentors, we lost a few mentors. They were like, no, I didn't sign up for compliance. I'm not doing that. So I don't blame them. Compliance is a pain in the butt. But we just all have to stick together. And if you have a problem or an issue, reach out to another mentor and say, how do you handle this? You know, you can reach out to Denise, you can reach out to Rebecca and myself, anyone, Sherilyn, anybody, and just say, you know, I've got this kind of going on in my chapter. How would you handle it? Or am I handling it the right way? So that way we're all learning from each other, for one, and two, we are trying to help survive our chapters. I think we have a lot of chapters. I would say maybe 5 or 6 who are kicking around the idea, we don't have the board. Why should we stay here? So, you know, I have one chapter who insists, we want a new mentor, or, you know, they're going to close and then they're going to open. We're going to stay open, but we want a new mentor. And this is like a long history of things that we don't operate that way. If someone has a problem with you, we don't normally just throw you in the towel and say, okay, give them a new mentor and move on, because it could be an issue that's deeper than what we're aware of. So we just need to work together and be together and back each other up and help them all out. You know, we have almost 3,000 people that may not know what they're doing, or, you know, aren't taking that recording secretary job on because they don't know exactly what it is details, you know, and I'm constantly saying, read your governing documents. If you don't know, pull out the handbook and read it. Not that it's not that scary. Yeah, it is, but you know, we can all move around it. But yeah, we just need to support each other. And I think the friendliness and the relationship is the best route to go with them. Let them know. Most people think, oh, I'm in trouble. When they get a mentor, they think, oh, were we in trouble? It has nothing to do with that.
Sherilyn?
I'm just going to say, Stacy, just to piggyback on that, for the first time ever. So our chapters 7 years old now, my current chapter, and we elected a new recording secretary. It was her first meeting. And she said, I really want to get involved. What can I do? I have all this, and she has all this financial background. And we're like, why don't we edge you in slowly? Would you mind being the recording secretary? So we did some shifting and said, why don't you start recording our meetings and taking our minutes? And, you know, I'll kind of shift over to you and show you what I've been doing. And I got a text from her the next day. She said, I found those governing documents you were talking about. I read them all. I'm like, whoa, you did what? Yes. So like, you are never leaving the chapter ever. But it was pretty fun to actually have somebody who took that attitude for one of the positions.
That's awesome.
Rebecca, was there any other questions? Rebecca, can you share about your story about your recording secretary?
Oh, yeah. I was thinking about that when you mentioned your recording secretary. So we have a young lady who joined last year, right, when COVID hit. So she'd only been Zooming with us. And we were getting ready to have elections. And our chapter, is one of those that I've been the president since we chartered in 2017. And I really wanted to step down and haven't been able to. And so we decided this year that we were going to add a couple more positions. I talked to my current board. We only had 5 board members. And I said, I want to start getting some committees. I want to pull all of our members in. Every member should have a niche somewhere that they would be, willing to do something. And so maybe they don't want to be an officer, but maybe they'll serve on a committee someplace. So we started talking about it, and we decided we actually ended up adding 2 more officer positions. And so we were thinking about, okay, this is a big leap from us to go from 5 to 7 because we're not a huge chapter, but we did it. And so I reached out to one of the young ladies that when we started coming back and having face-to-face meetings in June, I guess. And so I was talking to Carla and I said, hey, Carla, you've been nominated for recording secretary. And she said, are you kidding me? And I said, no, why? And she said, I was thinking about quitting. And she said, I know I've only been in the chapter for about a year, but I have so many other things going on. And she said, it's nothing personal against the chapter. You guys have been so welcoming to me and I really loved being here, but I just have so many other things going on. And I just felt like I wasn't adding anything to your chapter. I wasn't adding anything to the meetings. And I could tell she's very quiet, but once you get her talking, she's great. And I said, well, would you consider staying? And she said, yes. She said, this is a sign, for somebody to think that I should be nominated as recording secretary. This is a sign for me. And she said, will you tell me what needs to be done? And so I chatted with her a little bit. She was elected as our recording secretary. She's doing a great job. She's so happy that she stayed. And I think that's it for a lot of our chapters. I think sometimes because we don't have very many people volunteering and being on committees, they see that the president does everything. And so I think as mentors, if we can kind of help those presidents delegate and kind of share the fun, then maybe other people might be willing to step up and to fulfill those roles as well. We also appointed a chaplain, brand new member. She was first time, well, she came to our meeting in, let's see, what month is this? This is September.
September.
I have to think about this. So she came to our meeting in August. And she signed up and became a paid member in August. And then I reached out to her 2 weeks later. I actually knew her from before. She and I'd also been in a Bible study class together. And so I had reached out and said, would you consider being our chaplain? And she said, I would be honored to do that. And so at our September meeting, I handed her our chapter Bible and I said, here you go. And she was thrilled to do it. She did an excellent job. We also appointed a parliamentarian for the first time. Our chapter has never had a parliamentarian. And so I'm seriously going through my roster and just kind of like hand picking who I think. So we have a patriotic instructor this time. We've got a parliamentarian this time. And these are all new members that have come into our chapter over the last year that I am asking to step up and to take on these volunteer positions. And so I think that's something that you guys could share as well with your, try to spread out the wealth a little bit. We have, even though we have our financial, our treasurer and our financial secretary, we've also decided to have a finance committee, just like the NAB does. And one of the reasons that we decided to do this was so that we could educate other members about our finances and how the finances are done, and so that we can kind of teach them over the next year or 2 years, so someone else will be ready to step into one of those financial positions.
Hey, Denise, it's Brenda. I just want to say that one of my members, she's real active, but she says, I just want to be a worker bee.
Mhm.
Just tell me what to do and I do it. And her husband is a very active associate. Him and Robin, they are the care package chair people. And somebody asked me a question. I said, you need to talk to them. It's because they're the committee, they take care of it. And it took a lot off of, when I was the president, it took a lot off of my shoulders of them. So that's one thing you can suggest to the chapters, is that find committee members to take over things such as, the VA program, when we go out and visit the veterans, when we're able to, or the wreaths, or the care packages. Oh,
I think sometimes people that step up to be president can kind of be micromanagers, and it's very difficult to give up some of those responsibilities. But when they do, they find that it really helps the chapter, because more people have a little more ownership in the chapter, and it takes a lot off of the president's plate. If other people are doing these jobs and you're letting them do the jobs, they will stick around, and they'll look at doing more leadership positions in the future. So those are all good points.
Well,
Sure.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna jump right back in there, because you made a very good point about micromanaging, and sometimes we micromanage because we end up not micromanaging, we end up taking it back because things are falling through the cracks. And so again, as a mentor, talk to your presidents, and if they're finding that things are falling through the cracks, then ask them to find somebody else to take that on. We now have an apparel committee, because we were trying to get some shirts, and we were months and months and months and couldn't get chapter shirts done. So we decided to put together an apparel committee and take it from this one person. We've got this other, we've directed this person in a different area, and then we found new people to take on this other thing. And sometimes you just have to kind of help people shift so that you can take things off of your plate and let other people do it.
Thank you. And Sherilyn had made a note on the chat. Also, remember to use your associates on those committees. They can't hold offices, but they can certainly be on these committees to, do some of the shipping or the apparel, research, those kind of things. A lot of the associates have a lot of energy, and they want to feel like they're part of the chapter also, and that's a great way to do it. Sonia, do you have a comment?
Just to add, we have a social media person who is not on the board. That person, we've given the responsibility of doing like the birthday of the Air Force or the POW MIA Day. That person makes all of our calendar type posts that are based off of a day of the year, to take that off of the board so that we don't have to do that. She does a fantastic job. And then a board member takes care of posting about our events or the pictures after our events or something like that. But those days were taking me forever to acknowledge all of the birthdays of the different branches and all that stuff. And that's really easy for somebody to do who's not on the board and take that off the board. And that person has then become more involved in the chapter because she feels like she's important and she's part of things and all of that. So there's all different roles that those people can fulfill if they so choose to. Like, I can't get anybody to chair our care package collection drive. That's still falling on me. But you'll find something for somebody if you just think hard enough and point them in a direction. So try all different kinds of things.
Thank you. Any other comments or ideas that we can share with our chapters?
Rebecca has her hand up.
Oh, go ahead, Rebecca.
You have to take it down then. Sonia, you
Great.
too, please. Thank
Uh-oh, Brenda's busting you there. There. Anybody else? No? Okay. If there's no other comments, I think this has been a good informational meeting. And again, I'm going to have those that missed the meeting go back and review it. So I will be getting them the instructions on where to find the meeting. And in the future, if you can't make the meetings, we are going to have them all recorded. And so you will be able to go back and listen to them.
Denise, Penny has, oh, she did have her hand up. Where'd she
Oh,
go?
go ahead. Penny, do you have something?
No, I did a while ago, but I don't even remember what it is. So I was trying to take it down.
I hope that we answered it maybe. Or
You did.
covered that.
And
Okay,
I have
good.
to go now, ladies. So we'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks.
Okay, bye-bye. The only other thing, I've got two things. One, Sonia, I just want to say I'm only 4 hours from Chicago. So, you know, if you've got an extra room in that lake home, I'm there. And then,
We might.
then-
I'll let you know.
alrighty. And then also, we are going to try to have another meeting in about 2 months. And it will be on a Tuesday, and I'm looking at November 30th, which is the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, kind of as a tentative, and I'll check with our committee and see if that's going to work. So keep in mind that I will be sending something out as soon as that is firm as to when the next meeting is. Okay, so in the meantime, in October, remind your chapters about compliance, maybe to talk to them about the membership Zoom meeting that's coming up. And oh, also I wanted to say, encourage your chapters to submit things to the newsletter, because when you're hearing about their events, remind them that everybody that's a great event, and we want everybody to hear about it. And that's kind of like, they'll say, oh, you mean other people want to hear about what we did? And so they might be more willing to submit to the newsletter. Stace, do you have something?
No, I had a brain
Oh, okay.
moment. I thought you said October 30th, and I'm like, isn't that your convention? But I realized
yeah.
it's November.
November 30th. Yeah.
Mhm.
So we'll put that down as a tentative, and we'll firm that up and let you know. Otherwise, I think we're good for the night. And so check in with your chapters in October and get your reports in by the end of October. And thanks for coming tonight. And thanks for all the input.
Thanks, ladies.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks a village, all of
Good
you.
night.
Good night,
Good night.
ladies.
Good night.
Good night.